Hi boys and girls. So you're going to be designing your own skyscraper during next week's lesson. So I just want to show you some examples and then I'm going to do one. I'm going to speed it up so that you can watch the whole thing, and you can also see how I use some shading to create dimension in my picture because there isn't shading in the examples, and I want you guys to be able to make your designs really stand out and look nice. So this is the print that came with your kit, and it's actually in the OLS example as well. So this is a storefront for this big department store. Look at how ornate all of this ironwork is here. There's just so many details. So when we talk about skyscrapers, that all happened around the Art Deco period, where architects were able to build their buildings so much taller because they started using new materials like steel. So that's where you can see all these different cool architectural things like these tiered skyscrapers, just like the Empire State Building. And I'm sure there are some all over that. I'm sure there are some in Florida. I've seen them too. So we're going to look in here for some inspiration for your designs. First, I'm going to show you this page, and if you want, you can always pause it so that you can see it more clearly if you want to use anything for your own building. Here we see like floral patterns, more flowers. This has kind of an Egyptian feel to it. It's very flat and two-dimensional, even though it is carved. They're just geometric shapes making flowers, and the patterns are very simplified. Here we've got Egyptian inspiration, kind of these awesome gold leaf, kind of little lotus patterns. I know it's hard to see. Lines, straight vertical lines, Pacific Northwest type style. There's just some more of these little kind of chevron arrow types. So you can see some of the pattern here and then down here. There. It's a little hard to see. You can see that kind of almost like not a zigzag, but it just comes down like a little arrow. Some text engraved into the stone. This has got terracotta, which is cool. They use some different type of material. Here's more floral patterns, like roses. But look at this. Look how this kind of little rosette comes out. It's all square. Turns into this. Then it's got this kind of swirly top. It's really cool. It's really ornate, so you can be really creative with this. So in the 1920s, they discovered Tutankhamun's tomb in Egypt. And so that inspired a lot of the Egyptian style, like the gold leaves and things like that, the lotus flowers, and a lot of the decorations in these buildings, because it was happening just around the same time as they were able to start making skyscrapers with new materials. This I wanted to show you because this is in Miami. So if you live near Miami or in Miami, you may have seen these hotels before. This is cool. You can kind of see the color schemes. Even Disney, if you've been to Disney and you've been to Hollywood Studios, there's a lot of Art Deco architecture there too. So you can see how the facade or the front of the building comes forward and it has this kind of tiered shape. Almost kind of inspired by like Mexican ziggurats, which are those ancient Mayan buildings. Okay, let's go to the next tab. The Chrysler Building. Remember I mentioned this in the beginning? It's got these rounded little things coming up on all sides. So the building itself is squared, and it has these crazy cool, let me focus this better, eagles sticking out, kind of like a gargoyle, and it's all like silver, so you can see it at a distance, and it's very shiny and reflective. It goes all the way up into this point. Can you even imagine building this skyscraper and being all the way up here working on this? It would be so scary. 59th floor. Steel Eagle Gargoyles. That's what it says. 30 Rockefeller Plaza. I used to eat lunch in this building when I worked in New York. This is where the ice skating happens and right where the tree is. It's right in front of here. And NBC Studios is in here. So people that watch Sesame Street, that's in there, and The Late Show, I believe, is in there, and Saturday Night Live. Those shows are all in 30 Rockefeller Plaza. And then the bottom is a food court. So that's where I used to go for lunch because I worked across the street. Anyway, this one isn't even too decorative, but you can see how it is tiered. So it's a little wider at the bottom, and it goes many, many floors up and is tiered in a little bit more. In Rockefeller Center, and I believe it is in that same building, there's more Egyptian stuff carved in. So these are some of the things like when you're doing the things in part 2 that go along with your building. You could think about, you know, I'm not sure what the purpose of these are on the side, but here you've got the clock, mainly the clock. All right, let's continue to the next tab. This building I think is so cool looking. It's a blue-green terracotta clad Eastern Columbia building in Los Angeles. It has a sculpture in the front with eagles, just like the eagles from the Chrysler building. This I thought was cool. I wanted to show you guys for motifs and ideas for your patterns. Leaves, swirls, just lines within the swirls and the little leaf patterns. They don't leave any empty space though, so everything is overlapping something else and it's totally filled up. And in where the empty spaces would be, they have little tiny flowers, little tiny swirls. And then this is pretty plain right here, but oh my gosh, look at the windows. Here's the Empire State Building. This is one of the most famous buildings because it was once the tallest building in the world. It has kind of like a fan design in the metal on the sides here. I know you guys can't see it too well. There you go. You could always Google it on Google Images. So that's really cool. Actually, I don't think this is part of it, but this is really cool too. This Art Deco little design on the rooftop of this building. So again, you can see how it's tiered. Actually, there is more decoration than I can make out, but I think it's because the building is so big that it just drowns out. So right down here, there's little lotus flowers over the top of the windows. And did you know that once they had a Zeppelin, which is like a big blimp, and they had a dock for it? It might be this actually, right here. And the Zeppelin docked the top of the Empire State Building. I don't know if it was here, up here. And people actually got out. Or maybe went in, but I think they got out here. But I think they only did it like once because it was scary and dangerous. All right, the last one I wanted to show you was this one on the left. This shows you a planter and then this really cool, almost like Jack and the Beanstalk. This is on a school building in Manhattan in New York. So here are the doors. Okay, the door handle so you can see the size. Now notice the things that are further back in the carving, like if the carving is really deep, then they're darker because they're in the shadow. And the things that are closer to the front are lighter colored. So to make something look 3D, if it's supposed to be going inward into the carving basically, it's going to be more gray. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind when you're doing your designs. So now I know I've really talked through this a lot, but since we only have a few more minutes, I'm going to get started on my drawing, and then next week when you get the lesson to start on Monday, then you're going to know how to approach your assignment. All right, so I'm going to get my piece of paper, and the directions asked you to take a piece of cardstock that you're going to use for your building's doorways. So what I'm going to do, think about kind of like, maybe even do a little rough sketch of the design of your building so that you can spend time doing it nicely with your ruler after the fact. That's just my sketch, so I'm just going to go with that. So let me put that to the side, and now I'm going to try drawing. Let me just kind of map it out first with my ruler. So now I've got everything kind of mapped out. I need to think about the details that I want to add to my picture. So there's a lot of cool stuff in here. I'm just going to kind of flip through and find things and add them, and you should do the same. I'm going to include some visual references in the slideshow that you guys can refer to. Here is my finished example. I know I did a lot of details in this, but since I'm the teacher, I just kind of went all out. Now for part 2, the objective is to draw something that goes along with your building. So on the inside of my building, there would be an elevator button. So I'm going to draw that, as well as the elevator kind of like gauge. Dial that tells you what floor the elevator is on currently. And then I'm going to design the elevator button that says up or down. Boys and girls, so these are the two parts of the project: your building design, and then part 2 is having you design something from inside your building. So something that could be made out of metal or but like a permanent fixture. So it could be like a light on the wall that's a wall sconce. Sometimes those were in buildings. That would be permanent on the wall. The elevator buttons, the little thing that shows you what floor it's on, door handles and latches, the things that you hold when you open the door. So there's a lot of little details. You probably could think of something extra that you would like to do. If you want to do something, you can. That's particular to something you want to do. But it has to be something that's permanent in the building, so that say that you went to the building today, it would still be there from the 1920s or 30s. All right, so that's the whole project. Have fun, be creative. I know I went a little above and beyond with my decorations. Feel free to go as all out as I did or to simplify it to your own taste. All right, guys, good luck.